Imagine you're stuck in traffic, the frustration builds, and suddenly you find yourself shouting or gripping the steering wheel tightly. It's a common moment of anger we've all experienced, but what purpose does this anger serve? Why do we externalize it, express it outwardly when we're overwhelmed by emotions like frustration or irritation? Today, we'll explore the externalization of anger, what it is, why we do it, and most importantly, how we can harness it productively. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of anger's role in our emotional landscape and practical strategies to channel it effectively. What is anger and why do we externalize it? Anger is often misunderstood. We tend to associate it with negative behaviors, yelling, aggression, or even violence, but at its core, anger is a natural human response to perceived threats or injustice. It's an essential survival mechanism that helps us protect ourselves and establish boundaries. Externalizing anger is the process of expressing our feelings outwardly through physical actions, verbal outbursts, or even subtle signals like body language. In contrast, internalizing anger means keeping it inside, suppressing it, and turning it inward, often leading to negative mental and physical effects. Externalizing is often an attempt to release emotional energy, but why do we feel the need to do this? The externalization of anger serves several important functions. It helps us communicate our distress, assert our needs, and protect our boundaries. It's a way of sending a signal to others. Something is wrong, and we need it addressed. It can help us feel heard and understood, but if not managed properly, this externalization can be harmful to relationships, to our mental health, and even to our physical well-being. Understanding how to harness this natural instinct is key. Instead of allowing anger to control us, we can learn to use it as a tool for self-protection, growth, and positive change. The function of anger, a protective mechanism. Anger is essentially an emotional alert system that activates when we perceive a threat, be it physical, emotional, or social. This response is deeply rooted in our biology. When we feel threatened, the brain's amygdala triggers the fight or flight response, preparing us to confront or escape danger. Our bodies go through physiological changes when we're angry. Our heart rate increases, adrenaline surges, and our muscles tense up. This is the body's way of readying itself to defend or assert control over the situation. In this sense, anger acts as a protective mechanism, giving us the energy and motivation to respond when our boundaries are crossed or when we feel wronged. Anger is also tied closely to our sense of justice. We often feel angry when we perceive unfairness, whether directed toward ourselves or others. Anger can drive us to take action, stand up for what's right, and push for change. Many social movements have been fueled by collective anger against injustice. While anger can be protective and motivating, it can also be overwhelming. When unmanaged, it can lead to impulsive actions, aggression, or even burnout. The challenge lies in tapping into the protective aspects of anger without letting it spiral out of control. How anger is externalized. Externalizing anger can take many forms, from direct expressions to subtler, indirect behaviors. Here are some common ways people externalize their anger. 1. Verbal outbursts. Yelling, raising our voices, or using harsh language are all forms of verbal externalization. These outbursts are often impulsive and happen when we're overwhelmed. While they might offer temporary relief, they're not always productive and can damage relationships. 2. Physical actions. Physical expressions of anger can range from slamming doors and stomping feet to hitting objects. These actions release the tension that builds up during anger but can also become destructive if directed toward others or property. 3. Passive aggression. This more subtle form of externalized anger includes sarcastic remarks, the silent treatment, or indirect expressions of frustration. While passive aggression might seem less harmful, it can erode relationships over time. 4. Nonverbal cues. Crossed arms, clenched fists, and tense body language are all nonverbal ways we externalize anger. Even without words, these cues can communicate our emotions and potentially escalate conflicts if misinterpreted. Externalizing anger can help release emotional tension, but it's important to recognize when these behaviors become harmful or counterproductive. The dangers of uncontrolled anger. Uncontrolled anger carries several risks. It can strain or damage relationships, especially when expressed through aggression, harsh words, or passive-aggressive behaviors. Over time, these patterns can push people away or create a cycle of conflict. Chronic anger also impacts physical health. Frequent surges of stress-related hormones like adrenaline and cortisol can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, and other health problems. The emotional toll of anger, whether it's frequent outbursts or internalized resentment, can also lead to mental health struggles, including anxiety and depression. Uncontrolled anger also impairs decision-making. When we act impulsively out of anger, we often make choices we later regret. Whether it's saying hurtful things in the heat of the moment or making rash decisions, anger can cloud our judgment. Lastly, unchecked anger can have professional and social consequences. Outbursts at work or in social settings can harm reputations, damage careers, and lead to isolation. Understanding these risks highlights the importance of learning to manage and harness anger effectively. Harnessing anger and turning energy into positive action. So, how can we harness this powerful emotion and turn it into something productive? Here are some strategies. 1. Identify the root cause. Anger is often a secondary emotion triggered by deeper feelings like hurt, fear, or frustration. Before reacting, take a moment to ask yourself, why am I really angry? Identifying the root cause can help you address the actual problem instead of reacting impulsively to surface emotions. 2. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to observe your anger without being consumed by it. Notice how anger feels in your body, whether it's a racing heart, shallow breathing, or muscle tension. Mindfulness helps you catch anger early before it escalates. Techniques like deep breathing or box breathing, inhale for 4 counts, hold, exhale for 4 counts, can calm the body and mind. 3. Channel anger into problem solving. Anger often signals that something in your life needs to change. Instead of letting it build up, use it as motivation for problem solving. For example, if a recurring issue at work is frustrating you, channel that energy into brainstorming solutions or discussing the problem with your manager. When we shift from reacting to resolving, we regain control. 4. Communicate assertively. Assertive communication is key to harnessing anger productively. Express your needs and feelings without being confrontational. Use I statements to convey how you feel. For example, instead of saying you never listen to me, try saying, I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted, and I'd appreciate it if we could take turns speaking. This approach helps externalize anger in a way that fosters understanding rather than conflict. 5. Engage in physical activity. Physical activity is one of the best ways to release the energy that anger creates. Whether it's going for a run, hitting a punching bag, or simply walking, exercise helps release tension and allows you to approach the situation with a clearer mind. 6. Use anger as motivation for change. Anger can be a powerful driver of change. It has fueled movements for social justice, equality, and environmental protection. When directed at addressing unfairness or injustice, anger can inspire positive action. Think about what your anger is telling you. How can you use that energy to make constructive changes in your life or the world around you? Healthy versus unhealthy externalization of anger. The key to harnessing anger lies in understanding the difference between healthy and unhealthy externalization. Healthy externalization involves recognizing your anger, understanding its cause, and expressing it constructively, whether through assertive communication, setting boundaries, or problem solving. It's about addressing the root issue while respecting the feelings of others. Unhealthy externalization involves reacting impulsively, whether through verbal outbursts, aggression, or passive-aggressive behavior. This type of externalization often escalates conflict, damages relationships, and leaves you feeling worse afterward. Mindfulness, emotional awareness, and communication skills can help ensure that your externalization of anger is healthy and productive. Anger as a tool for growth. Anger doesn't have to be destructive. When understood and managed properly, it can be a powerful tool for growth, protection, and positive change. The key is learning to harness it, to recognize its function as a protective mechanism, to express it in ways that are constructive, and to channel its energy into solving problems and motivating action. By practicing mindfulness, improving communication, and addressing the root causes of anger, we can transform this intense emotion into something that works for us rather than against us. Thank you for watching this episode of Mind Matters. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Take care of your mind. It matters.